New Year's Eve, a night of celebration, of new beginnings, of hope for the year to come. But what happens when the final countdown is not to a new year, but to a final breath? From tragic accidents on icy roads, to a husband's chilling Google searches after a New Year's dinner, to a simple act of chivalry that ends in a watery grave. These are the stories of New Year's Eve celebrations that went horribly, fatally wrong. Case 1. The head-on collision. For David and Ella McNay, a young couple from Covington, Kentucky, New Year's Eve 2015 was supposed to be a night of celebration. But a simple drive turned into a fatal encounter that would leave their two small children without parents. As they were driving on Pelly Road in Independence, another driver, 57-year-old Mark Hoffman, failed to navigate a turn and veered into their lane, causing a horrific head-on collision. Ella, 24, was pronounced dead at the scene. David, 31, was rushed to UC Medical Center, but he too succumbed to his injuries. Friends and neighbors were devastated. The McNays, who had moved into the neighborhood just 6 months prior, were described as a quiet, close-knit family. Friends remembered them as a couple who would go out of their way to help anyone, even when they had little themselves. They would help anyone in need, even when they could barely help themselves, one friend told reporters. The crash left their two young children orphaned, a heartbreaking end to a new year that should have been filled with promise. Police investigated whether speed or alcohol were factors, but the damage was already done. A family was shattered, and a community was left to mourn the loss of a young couple with their whole lives ahead of them. Case 2. The double tragedy. For Keith and Joey Klatt, 2025 was supposed to be a year of joy. The Ohio couple, aged 56 and 53, were eagerly awaiting the arrival of their first grandchild. But their new year began with a double tragedy that cut their lives short. In the early hours of New Year's Day, the Klatts were involved in a minor car accident at the intersection of Alkire and Norton Road in Grove City. As they stood near their car around 1 a.m., presumably exchanging information with the other driver, another vehicle, a pickup truck driven by Joseph Moore, slammed into them with such force that it pushed their own vehicle out of the intersection. Both Keith and Joey were killed. The driver, Joseph Moore, was charged with 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide and 2 counts of OVI. His attorney claimed that the entire incident was captured on an unrelated dashcam and that they were eager to view the footage. But for the Klatt family, the legal proceedings would do little to bring back the couple they had lost. A year that was supposed to be filled with the joy of a new grandchild began with the unimaginable grief of a double funeral. Case 3. The dismemberment. On New Year's Eve 2022, Brian and Anna Walshy hosted a dinner party at their home in Cohasset, Massachusetts. To the outside world, they were a successful couple with 3 young children, but behind closed doors, a dark and sinister plot was unfolding. Anna Walshy, a 39-year-old real estate executive, was last seen in the early hours of January 1, 2023. Her husband, Brian, told police she had left for a work trip to Washington, D.C., but there was no evidence she ever took a flight, a rideshare, or even made it to the airport. Her phone pinged near their home for 2 days after she was last seen. What followed was a series of gruesome discoveries that painted a horrifying picture of what happened after that New Year's Eve dinner. Investigators found bloodstains and a broken, bloody knife in the couple's basement. Surveillance video captured Brian Walshy throwing heavy trash bags into dumpsters at multiple locations. Inside those bags, police found a hatchet, a hacksaw, cleaning supplies, and some of Anna's personal belongings, including her Prada purse and her COVID-19 vaccination card. DNA from both Brian and Anna was found on the bloody items. But the most chilling evidence came from Brian Walshy's own Google searches made on his son's iPad in the days after his wife's disappearance. He searched for 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to, dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body, and can you be charged with murder without a body? Just days before New Year's, he had searched, what's the best state to divorce for a man? Prosecutors believe that Brian Walshy, wanting to end his marriage, beat his wife to death, dismembered her body, and then disposed of her remains. He was charged with murder and disinterring a body without authority. Anna Walshy's body has never been found. A New Year's celebration, a final dinner with a friend, and then a brutal and calculated murder that left 3 young children without a mother and a community in shock. Case 4. The Balcony Fall. For a newly engaged couple in Bengaluru, India, New Year's Eve 2015 was a time of celebration and anticipation, but a moment of carelessness turned their celebration into a tragedy. Shiva Krishna, a 27-year-old lab technician, was partying with friends on New Year's Eve. Around 12:30 a.m., as his friends went to bed, he stepped out onto the balcony of his second-floor apartment to call friends and family. The last call he made was to his fiancée. CCTV footage from a nearby building captured what happened next. Shiva Krishna sat on the railing of the balcony, presumably while smoking a cigarette. He lost his balance and fell to his death. His body wasn't discovered until 4:30 a.m., more than 2 hours after the fall. It was a senseless and entirely preventable death. A young man on the cusp of a new life with his fiancée lost his life because of a moment of recklessness. A New Year's celebration, a final call to his loved one, and then a fatal fall into the darkness. Case 5. The Water Bottle. For Michael Hilling, 19, and his girlfriend, Jessica Wojtanic. New Year's Eve 2010 was a double celebration. Not only were they ringing in the new year, but it was also their first anniversary as a couple. They were at the Chicago lakefront, watching the fireworks over Navy Pier, when a simple, almost comical accident turned deadly. Jessica dropped her water bottle into the frigid waters of Lake Michigan. Michael, in a misguided act of chivalry, decided to retrieve it. According to his mother, Michael could barely swim. He could only dog paddle. But for some reason, he thought he could hang off the seawall and grab the bottle. He couldn't. He lost his grip and fell into the icy water. Jessica tried to help him, but he was too far from shore. She screamed for help, but the sound was drowned out by the fireworks. She watched in horror as her boyfriend, the boy she had grown up with, slipped beneath the waves and drowned. His body was recovered 30 minutes later, but it was too late. In the aftermath, Jessica was harassed on social media by people from their small hometown, blaming her for his death. She was so devastated that she dropped out of college and moved back home. A night that should have been a celebration of their love became a nightmare that would haunt her for the rest of her life. A young man, a first anniversary, and a fatal decision to risk his life for a water bottle. From a husband's sinister plot to a misguided act of chivalry, these are the stories of New Year's Eve celebrations that ended in death. They are a chilling reminder that as we celebrate new beginnings, the end can be just a moment away. Thank you for watching.